conversation
wait,
that makes sense.
I'm
I've
just,
listened to you
I'm
for a
just
long
going.
time.
You are not going to
want
accept
allow
this
you
because
to mislead us.
wait, let me finish. I'll allow you to actually come through. That Luos and Raila supporters have no apology to anyone for what they did. Your failure to understand what they were doing is not their problem. Totally. You have failed to understand exactly who they are, and that they don't want to be understood. They do not seek anybody's approval or apology when they go out to mourn. Being yourself, as in, you cannot be ashamed for being yourself. And I'll actually help Fanya get to understand this. Number one, the failure of the state to prepare the airport was not Raila's supporters' problem. Because number one, the people at the airport were not a huge and threatening group. No one even dared to tell those people, and I will actually surprise you, that simulations had already actually indicated that there could be an attempt at breaching the airport. No one at the airport made any effort, even a political statement to tell people stay away from the airport. No one told them. Had they been told, and this is how it actually works, because you see, for the airport we have got ICAO requirements, we have got IATA standards, and so much to be worked around. That's how the state airports are rated and worked around that, right? No one knew, and you know, like, the death of a person like Raila Odinga is not one the state can actually pretend that it got them by surprise. This country, in a country where at some point, I don't want to mention which regime, that the National Security Council will sit down and simulate taking out Raila Odinga just as their way of quelling demonstrations. Didn't they think about how then it would fall out? You start with the end in mind. And therefore, the failure of the state to plan is not Raila Odinga's supporters' problems. It's not. That cannot be put on them because we expected it. It's the Raila way of doing things. Fanya here has worked with Raila Odinga. And there is no single day, even when you were running last time, you and I ran in neighboring constituencies. And I remember you calling me, wametoka huko kwetu wanakuja huko kwenu. Where Raila was going in, only Baba was assured of a seat. Every other person had to fight. And somehow those rallies would work fine and end fine. There are places where we actually have to call out, and that is an old culture. Even when Kenyatta was dead in this town, I had a very good grandfather who was in security, and he would tell me a lot of these things repeatedly. There was a lot of looting in town. When Kenyatta died, there was serious looting in town.
In 1978?
Yes. This town, everybody closed their shop, but still people would go in and loot. So the culture of looting, they are criminals of opportunity. They are not a people of our generation. You know, it's so easy now to blame millennials and Gen Zs, especially those from the slums, for doing it. Those people who came ahead of them did it. Looting has been in Nairobi as long as people have been in this city. You will see it even on Independence Day, when people were working in shops owned by Indians and taking them away. Other people simply, you know, these are petty thieves who steal from other Kenyans who are also struggling like them. Our leaders themselves were serious looters. They would walk into farms and tell people, give us farms. So we have to actually realize that we have got a national problem. So then this is how Raila did things. And somehow we came to accept that this is the Raila way of doing things. Raila had mastered the art of chaos. What those people are doing specifically is the Raila way of doing things. I do not think that where Raila is, he's
surprised or shocked.
He feels desecrated or even he's surprised. I don't think he is. Because again, why would anybody seated somewhere think that they can come, you can actually do a private burial ceremony for a person like Raila Odinga? Raila Odinga gave himself to the country. He is a public property. He ceased being any private person. And you know that. There is a time when you receive a call at night because you are running in Dagoretti South. People call you. They don't care whether you should actually be having your security, your private time with your family. They call you. So it's for you to decide whether you pick or not. That is an occupational hazard for them that actually get into public life. We must actually accept that. So there is crime of opportunity. That was for the police to deal with. I actually expected far much worse than what happened. I expected far much worse. In fact, Luos let me down. They didn't turn out in numbers, of course, because Raila ensured that he shrank the period. He knew that if you gave his supporters time to plan, a 2 weeks plan, as in then now you will actually know exactly what happened. So I think even where he comes from, his thinking was like, if I extend, he knew his people. He knew his supporters. People were traveling from all over the country to come to Nairobi and to go to Bondo. Now, if you've complained about what has actually happened in the last 3-4 days, Raila's burial place is actually going to turn into a shrine of democracy, and people will keep on going there in numbers. So the people who are managing that have to think through. Also, Fanya Mambo, let me also now, let's go base completely about politics. You know, for the Kikuyus, they have had 3 presidents. Mm-hmm. You do not know what Raila means to the people of the West. You don't know completely. You saw Kenyatta, it's nothing big. You saw Kibaki. It's those things, for you, by the way, this looks like it's privilege. You might not really get it. I'm just trying to actually tell you, look at this. I have got an advantage better than you in being myself, because I'm the only one who know myself, right? Mm-hmm. And that is why when we talk about self-awareness, it's about understanding who you are and then being able to know that this is how it applies to other people. There's this idea that when people be themselves and they express themselves, that somehow they are thought of being bad-mannered or backwards or something like that. Our cultures do not... Do you know why Kenya is actually the capital of Africa? Do you know why it's called so? It's not just because we are noisy. You're actually very low, by the way, Fanya Mambo.
No.
There's no Kinuji in you. Let me tell you. I'll help you know.
No.
I'll help you how low you are.
I spend all my time with myself. I know myself.
No, I'm just telling you, you might not know. When you don't know how you look in the face, why do you use a mirror? And when you don't have a mirror...
Just to remind myself.
Yes, when you don't have a mirror, the person looking at you becomes your mirror, right?
Yes.
There are 3 communities in this country that make what Kenyans be. Hata Sheng ni kabila, ni languages mbili tu. Ni Waluya, Wakikuyu na Wajaluo. Sheng is made of those 3 languages. There is a reason why Guy is actually said everywhere. Hata mtoto akutukana akishtuka anasema Guy.
Ushago.
Na kushago. There is a reason why anasema hivyo kwingine. There is a way hata wewe saizi ni Mkikuyu and you still say nga. Ninakujanga, ninaenda. Mimi sipendagi ujinga. Hiyo ni ngeli ya Kiluya. Then there are the people who have messed up the Kiswahili to bring up Sheng. Sheng is made of those 3. It's Kiswahili summarized to the nearest Kikuyu, Luya, and Luo. Kenya is morphologically, anthropologically the capital of the world because all the major communities in Africa gathered here. We have Bantus here. This is a melting point. We have got Bantus here. We have got Kushites here. We have got even the Arabs who came by ship. They are here and they call it home. So when we talk about Kenya being the headquarters of Africa, the majority of all groups, if you go to places like Zambia, and you used to go there a lot of times, and Tanzania where you went to school, you will realize that they are heavily Bantu. So the only thing that is actually dividing them, you realize a lot of people don't talk about it, but whereas they talk about having defeated tribalism, they are struggling with issues to do with religion. It's about Muslims and Christians, and it's so heavy down there, by the way, that that's how they organize their politics. But so when we're talking about what these people did, it would be important completely to know that the Luos and supporters of Raila do not give a damn what the rest of you think or feel. That is up to you. Number 2 is that they are not apologetic for what they did. But what we do not want to talk about is the failure of the organizers.
No,
that particular bit, and I'll finish by saying this, Fanya. There was no reason why Murkomen jumped on a plane to go to Mumbai, knowing too well that had he stayed home, he would have better organized it, because there's a level of decision making.
Let's have a conversation that makes sense. I've listened to you
I'm
for
just
a long
going.
time.
You are not going to accept this because
mislead us.
Wait, let me finish. I'll allow you to actually come through. Sakaja had an ability to actually stay at home and help mobilize, organize. Not that this bad manners wouldn't happen. But we are saying both Sakaja and Murkomen had no business going to Mumbai when they would have stayed at home and done a better job. The level of decision making for a PS is limited. A CS can own some decisions and defend it at the cabinet if it actually overruns some other policy decisions. A PS can own that. A CS can own that. A PS can't. Sakaja akona watu wa Kanjo, akona resources, ndio mtu wa hii town. He failed to do that. So